Hello, everyone. So I'm here today to talk about the LibKey integration at DCU Library and how we facilitated this through a community of practice approach. So just to give a bit of context here, there's lots of definitions of communities of practice. The one that I felt was most relevant, I've included here underneath, and then I've mapped that across in the diagram on the right-hand side. So just to summarize that diagram for you, step one is a domain of knowledge, which defines a particular topic. Number two is a community of people who care about the topic. And number three is a practice that they develop to be effective in their approach to this topic. So with that in mind, my talk today really has two aims. Number one is to outline the establishment of a community of practice in the form of the Library Services Platform Development Group, otherwise known as the LSPDG. And number two, to discuss a specific project that we undertook as part of that group to facilitate and integrate the LibKey technology. So just to give a bit of background then to the Library Services Platform before I talk about the developmental group itself. So in 2022, DCU Library, we began a significant transition, integrating a new unified library services platform, which really had three core components. Number one was a library management system in Alma. Number two was a discovery interface in Primo V. And number three was a reading list software tool in Leganto. So quite a big project. And it required significant planning, resourcing, and collaboration across all aspects of the library and beyond. The reason I've mentioned Alma and Primo slightly to the left in the diagram is Alma and Primo were integrated at the same time, and Leganto followed soon after. So I took up the role then of Digital Services Librarian in January 2023. And by December of that year, I felt that we had lived with the library services platform enough at that point that we could move from integration and focus more on development. And that was the reason I formed the LSPDG, or developmental group. So essentially, now that we've implemented the LSP, how do we begin to maximize the capabilities of it? And this is where the LSPDG comes into play. So this was formed by me in January 2024. It's chaired by me, and there's representation from each directorate across the library. And I've included a diagram reflecting the same there. So we have public services and outreach, digital services, special collections and archives, and research and teaching. So the key point there is that there's representation from each directorate. We've heard from different presentations today about that need for collaboration and communication, and this is no different. So we can't exist in a silo. It doesn't work that way. We do have a core group of 9 people on the developmental group, but we do circulate information throughout the rest of the library as well on a regular basis. And we do meet on a monthly basis. The focus of the group essentially is to oversee the management and development of the LSP and associated products, including any additional integrations such as LibKey. So framing that within the COP context, going back to what I mentioned at the start, the domain in this case is the shared interest that we have in developing the LSP. The community is the members of the LSPDG group, and the practice is the knowledge and skills that organically develop from the conversations that we have and the developments within that and the decisions that we make. So why does this matter? Why am I here today? As an academic library in the digital age, we're firmly in the digital age. A core pillar of our strategy is to embed a culture of experimentation, innovation, and professional development. So we want to live that strategy. Okay, so the LSPDG allows for that to happen. It provides that forum for communication, engagement, and to push the boundaries of what's possible with our platform. Secondly, as many organizations, including DCU, adopt some form of remote working policy, we lose those water cooler moments to a certain extent, those critical conversations. So these communities of practice, like the LSPDG, become even more important. It allows us to continue those conversations and provides a consistent communication channel. So now that we've established the background to the community of practice, I'll provide a brief overview of a project that the group undertook to implement LibKey technology. So a tangible example. So for those of you who are unaware of what LibKey is, Essentially, it's a suite of software tools that integrate with library resources to facilitate quicker and easier discovery of those resources. And there's 4 components. There's LibKey Discovery, Link, Nomad++, and I/O. So again, bringing this back again to our overall strategy in the library. So as outlined in our strategy, we will continue to ensure collections remain relevant, discoverable, and accessible at the point of need. So very much going back to what I said previously about the formation of the LSPDG to map to our strategy of innovation, this LibKey maps to our strategy of discoverability and resource accessibility. So LibKey, in a nutshell, it can assist users to locate and view content. It connects directly to our collections via an API, so in real time, and it facilitates discovery beyond our library website. So this idea of moving beyond the library website and our users starting in Google, for example, rather than starting in the library. That's a fact. That's the world we live in. So we have to be where they are. And LibKey facilitates that. So to marry the two together with LibKey and the CoP approach here, LibKey had to be configured in a way that made sense to both staff and students and communicate that effectively. That's why we needed a cross-functional or cross-directional approach here, so that we all could contribute to that overall conversation. Inherent was the idea of the cross-functional collaboration piece. And then the central concept is learning as a social process. As the chair of the LSPDG, it doesn't do anybody any favors, me charging off myself and implementing LibKey. I want communication from other members of the library as well and externally. So I organised a trial and initially asked 2 colleagues to be involved, Colin and Amanda. Colin because he's an interest in emerging technologies, and Amanda as the electronic resources and serials manager. She has an in-depth knowledge of her current holdings. We ran a trial from August to September 2023, and that was open to all library staff, and we saw engagement from them. We purchased in January 2024, and over the next few months, then we configured. We formally launched in September 2024. I'll now briefly discuss the CoP approach that we took to each of the LibKey components, just to give you a flavour of the kind of discussions that we had to have. So the first one is LibKey Discovery. So the clue is in the name here. This works directly within our discovery layer. So it provides one-click access to articles in PDF or HTML format, one-click access to complete journal issues, and also, and this is a key one, retracted article status. So for researchers, they can be notified when there's an issue or potential issue with a publication or an article in terms of retraction notices. So the way I've broken this down to kind of explain it is configuration terminology. So configuration, these are decisions that the LSPDG group had to make in relation to LibKey Discovery. So do we show HTML documents in addition to PDFs, for example? Yes, we do. Do we disable the ex-libris link resolver and rely solely on the link resolver from LibKey? Answer is yes, because why would we purchase LibKey otherwise? Disable unpaywall from ex-libris, and then we go with the unpaywall integration from LibKey. We made the decision to do that as well, because LibKey provide a more robust editorial process for review for OA content. And then do we show non-VOR content? We've decided to show accepted manuscripts. So again, the point I want to make here is these might seem like trivial decisions, but they're decisions that have to be made. Someone has to say yes or no. So the LSPDG group allows us to make that happen. In terms of terminology, simple things like the vernacular, how do we resonate this with our users in terms of simplicity? So download PDF was renamed to get PDF, read online, renamed to read HTML, for example. View issue contents or view journal contents, renamed to view issue and view journal respectively. So again, it's these little decisions that are critical in terms of the overall interface that we present to our end user. This is an example of what LibKey Discovery looks like. So you'll see an example of the search result on the left-hand side there. You'll see the option for get PDF, read online, view issue, and retract the article status as well. So again, this is a living entity, you know, and it's representation of the work that the LSPDG do. That's not to say it will always remain that way. Things change, things develop, and something that we will review periodically as well. Okay, nothing stands still. To mention LibKey Link then, this simplifies the process of linking users from citations in our databases directly to the full text of articles. And it provides a consistency in the browsing experience. So this idea that users may not start with the discovery interface, they may start in individual databases. This allows for that integration to happen. So in terms of configuration there, well, which databases do we choose? Do we implement in all of them or some of them? So for example, we started with just abstract and index databases to provide that linking piece. Terminology, what do we call it? What do we call the integration? In this case, we've gone with check for full text, keeping it simple. Just to mention here as well, the electronic and serials manager who sits on the LSPDG group was centrally involved in this aspect particularly. And she was able to go back to her staff and her team and also to vendors as well to make sure this implementation happened as smoothly as possible. So all the work is not just within the LSPDG group as well, it also works within the rest of the library and externally. There's an example of what LibKey link looks like. So you can see you have your option here for check for full text, and the little flame indicates the LibKey integration. So very, very simply, a user can click on that. They'll get the screen on the left with the option to download PDF, click on that, and then you get the PDF. And that's something that we implemented within the databases themselves. Okay, so it provides that consistency. LibKey Nomad++ is an interesting one. This is a downloadable browser extension that you can use and that our end users can download. So wherever possible, this gets users directly to our content with one click when they're searching outside of the library website, so within the wider web. And it works across a range of sites. It alerts users to our subscriptions and guides them with specific messaging. There is a technical aspect to this in terms of configuration. So again, from an LSPDG group point of view, what URLs do we include here? So what sites do we want to implement this on? Is it Amazon? Is it Google Scholar? Is it the Irish Times, Harvard Business Review, etc.? We have to create those rules and we have to make those decisions ourselves. Okay. Then also authentication loop or custom redirect. So what I mean by that is with an authentication loop, if you take the cite them right referencing software package, if an end user goes to the cite them right website, the content they see there is exactly the same as they would see if they signed in via DCU Library subscription. The only difference is they're signed in when they authenticate via DCU Library. So we allow them to see the Nomad option on the Cite them right homepage. They click on that, they sign into DCU, and they're redirected back to that landing page again. The custom redirect is a different example there, and that relies, for example, on the Harvard Business Review. So an end user can go to the Harvard Business Review website, click on the button, and get be redirected back into EBSCO to access the articles themselves. Terminology then, pop-up wording, full access via DCU Library, and what we call the link text button as well. In this case, we come with access or register, depending on the need. The other few points just briefly mentioned there, we work with public services and outreach as well to promote the idea that it's safe to click on these links when they pop up in the wider web. We always talk about data privacy and protection. So we have to get that message out there that it's okay to click on these links. And then the extension of the community of practice outside of the LSPDG group as well. We work with the digital technology solutions team, so the wider DCU IT team, to implement this at a group deployment stage. So to roll out Nomad automatically across all our public facing PCs. And we also work with the Data Protection Office on the same as well to allay any fears that they might have regarding privacy. So again, we're moving beyond the community of practice approach just within the group itself. There's an example of Nomad there. This is a Wikipedia example. So you can see the option there for download PDF or for view ebook. End user can click on that link and get access immediately once they have that Nomad extension installed. And there's a pop-up there for Harvard Business Review as well. So DCU Library has a digital copy, click here to access. So that'll pop up on the website. The last integration there is LibKey.io. This essentially is a very simple tool. It's a search tool that uses a DOI or a PubMed ID, so digital identifier or a PubMed ID to immediately search our collection. So it allows researchers to focus on the content rather than where they find it, and it saves a lot of research time. So this is more for advanced research or continuous research rather than potentially undergraduate students. So again, from an LSPDG point of view, configuration terminology, do we include a URL or do we include a search box widget as well, or both? Where do we embed this tool? What do we call it and who's our target audience? So these are the decisions that we have to make. So that's what it looks like there. So we've included it on the library website. There's an option for DOI and PubMed ID search. And we've also included a search box widget on the discovery layer as well. So it's in 2 different places. And then you can click on the link and get access to the PDF immediately. But again, they're the kind of decisions that have to be made about visibility and who our target audience is. Just the very last slide there is just an example from a metric point of view. Full text downloads from January to March of this year. So you'll see, thankfully, the usage is increasing in LibKey technology month on month. And more interestingly, when you break down those downloads into the different tools, you'll see discovery naturally will be the highest because it's a discovery interface. But what's more important to me is, from an integration point of view, is LibKey Nomad. It's increasing. The usage is increasing month on month, simply because we facilitated that group deployment to our public-facing PCs. So naturally, organically developed. Yeah, so that's essentially it in a nutshell. So that's the overview of the group itself and the project that we. Okay, thank you.